we would like to introduce first our director, Justin Crum. And please also welcome the executive producer, Johnny Bassett. We also have a few people that will be participating in the Q&A. Matt McLean of the Surfrider Foundation.
Hi.
David Rasta Rasmus. And Isabel Lucas. And Justin is also going to be introducing a few additional people to the Q&A.
Yeah, see how we are. Thanks you guys so much for coming. Thanks for staying. Steve Barlotti, get your butt up here. Give it up for our writers. Steve's actually the first one to make a phone call to me and say, hey, what's Rasta doing? And I said, I don't know. And he said, let's make a film. And that was about 6 years ago. So, do we have everybody up here who needs to be up here? Seth, do you want to come up here for Surfrider Foundation, just to be a voice for them? Seth Matson, where are you? Come on up. Don't be shy. As a representative of the Surfrider Foundation, Seth Matson is a big supporter of Advocacy and of the film, did the posters, t-shirts, some of that stuff. But again, I want to thank you personally. You know, this is a type of film that clearly is focused for a certain type of audience. You are that type of audience. If any of you are motivated today, go out and do whatever it is that you can do for your local community in any way you can and make a difference. We're humans. It's up to us to make a change in this world. So that's what this film's about. Thank you so much for coming today.
We have a few more people to the party, so let's just see if we can get some from the sides.
Not all of us wore our flip-flops like Dave did, but at least Dave is representing for the surf community. While those other chairs are coming up here, I just wanted to say, you know, this is a film about surfers, made by surfers, for surfers, but it's not a surf film. This is about all the rest of you. I think there's a few people in the audience tonight that kind of understand that. Shaddy, I know you're up there. Danny, I know you're over here in the corner. There's a lot of people who are just from the surf community. We all care so much about the issue. We all care so much about our environment that we take the ability that we have, whether it be filmmakers, surfers, models, and actresses, to make a difference. And again, it's so up to you guys. So the surf community has been very receptive to this film. It's more important that you tell your friends, that you go out and you guys show how we can all make a difference in this world. That's what this is all about. And I think I mentioned that before, but I want to say that again, is that it's up to you guys, each and every one of you, individuals up in the back, the Sea Shepherds who are here, the regular folks that can't remember you out there somewhere. And while I have the mic, because I'm a mic hog.
Please have a seat.
Oh, seat, yes, cool. I'm just going to take a chance to thank some of those additional supporters of the film. There's a crew from OPS, The Cove, that won an Oscar. The crew from The Cove, thank you so much. Thank you. Sea Shepherd and all of the ocean-minded community that's participated in this. That's one great thing about Artivist, is that it brings together like-minded groups. If you go outside tonight, you're going to see the Humane Society, you're going to see Advocacy, you're going to see Surfrider Foundation. You're going to see a number of nonprofit groups that all work together. Their issues are not always the same, but regardless, they teamed up on a project like this, and they've created awareness for this issue. That's super important. So we want to give a big thanks to all of those people for kind of collaborating, and also say, hey, in the future, collaborate more.
And just before we get started, Justin said something that reminded me of a joke that we have at Artivist, the very first year of the Artivist Film Festival, a journalist from the Los Angeles Times, actually the second year of the Artivist Film Festival, a journalist from the Los Angeles Times came up to me and said, I really love this festival. It's the only place you can get the human rights people and the animal rights people together in one place, and you don't have to call the cops. So it really is about bringing this very diverse advocate community that cares about humanity, animals, and the environment, and there really is no arena where these three incredibly separate yet interdependent communities really have a chance to come together. So we're really glad that you're all here today. And for everyone, make sure that you please pick up an Artivist magazine on your way out. We're going to be here for the next 3 days. We're showing 41 incredible films, and they're all complimentary to the community. So please do support the filmmakers, support the films, and we hope that you will spend more time with us over the next 3 days. Why don't we start with Johnny, actually, because he's the only
Johnny
Johnny from the Humane Society of the United States. And
First person that clapped, I'll give you your money later.
So, Johnny, to open up today's Q&A, can you talk a little bit about how you became involved with the film? And what is your expectation for the film now moving forward?
I hope the film will save the world. So we like to set our sights high. I guess I got involved with the film about 5 years ago and meeting a quick funny story. I was working with Sea Shepherd in Australia, and I got taken over to this artist guy named Howie's house, who we saw in the movie. I had no idea who Howie was, but they just dropped me off there. And a bottle of wine later, me and Howie were driving over to Dave's house around the corner, and I showed up at Dave's house, and he had no idea who I was, and I didn't really know who he was. And he didn't really say a word to me the whole night. He didn't really pay attention to me. But at the very end, I put on a video, and he was kind of laying down, sort of going to sleep, and at his own party. And as soon as the video turned on, there was the sound of a whale, and Dave lifted up his head and watched the video sideways the whole way for 5 minutes, and then when it was over, he put down his head, and then I laughed. I'm like, oh, okay, that was a weird experience in Australia with these trippy surfer guys. And then a few days later, he emailed me and said, hey, you know, I want to collaborate on this thing. I'm putting out this movie, like Liquid, and can I put the video on there? And I said, that'd be sweet. And so I think that's kind of how it got going, and then just met these amazing people. And for the Humane Society of the United States, and especially at the Hollywood office, this, as you can see, is the type of movie I love to get behind, because not only can you enjoy the experience and sort of, you know, have a nice movie to watch, but it has a higher purpose for me and a higher meaning. And that's the kind of films we're looking to get behind and try to help out filmmakers in various ways. You know, whether that's just research or whether it's actually getting really involved with this. So any of you fledgling filmmakers out there, make sure you contact the Hollywood office and we can help steer you in the right way, hopefully. And I'd like to just give a shout out real quick to some of the people that really are here. There's so many of you that helped made this possible. But Milan, my brother here in the front, my other brother Costa in the back, made this possible, and Johnny P. and Susan B. and a lot of others. So thank you all so much for being with us.
Well, can I introduce Hannah Fraser, who's a mermaid? Without Hannah, many parts of this project just simply do not get done. And she knows that, but I'll let her speak a little bit more. And if anyone has any questions, please speak up.
Wow, we're going to do it that kind of intro. I guess I just want to express how incredibly grateful I was to just be able to be part of something like this, and to express my gratitude to Dave and everyone and Justin for your unfailing persistence to actually bring this to completion. huge respect. Because, you know, we did all this filming, we did all these adventures, and then it was left to Justin to like pull all of that together and actually create the vision. And that is a really humongous job, so props to Justin. And I guess I just want to communicate that it was such an honor to just be able to hang out with the people that were involved in this, and so I would just urge every single person here, and I'm sure just the people that turn up to this kind of event, you're all involved in some amazing stuff already, but it's the biggest joy in my life to be able to be part of things like this. So reach out, make communities, do whatever you can do, use your passion, your particular skill, and just give it to a cause like this, because you'll be rewarded 1,000 times over.
And on that beautiful note, we'd love to turn it over to the audience with our first question.
I love you, Sabine. I'll pay you later.
Send us a question.
Exactly. So who has a question over here? The lovely lady with the hands up. Please rise. Can you please stand and speak loudly so we can hear your question?
I've been a mermaid pretty much my whole life. I made my first tale when I was 9 years old, and it's been a passion of mine. I've continued to make tales, and for the last 8 years I've been working professionally as a mermaid. I create my own tales. Each one takes about 4 months to make, and is individually sewn tiny little sequin scales, and they're very functional and beautiful, and that is my passion, and that's what I want to offer to this project. If you throw salt water on the afterwards, you'll find out.
Yes, our question right here, gentlemen.
How many hours of film were shot and how much editing was done?
Whoa. So 5-year project, how many hours of footage? I don't know, hundreds of hours of footage. Obviously you'd see everything from 35 millimeter film in this project to YouTube clips. So it was as big a project as we've ever worked on. I did want to kind of add a note to the mermaid story. Is that very, very early on when Steve and I first came to Dave and Hannah with this concept, Hannah said, "So what about the mermaid? Like, you got all this stuff for the boys in there. Where's all the stuff for the girls?" No, without people like Isabel, Hannah, Jack Johnson, so many others that have contributed, Red Hot Chili Peppers, so many of people who have contributed and groups have contributed to this film. Maybe the best direction to go at the moment is to find out from Dave. This man right here led us into his life for the last 5 years and led us into a lot of fairly intimate places and let himself kind of be shown in so many different ways. And he's still sitting here next to me. Number one, I thank him for flying over from Australia 2 days ago to make sure he made it. Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Artivist, please welcome.
Well, I guess, one of the greatest aspects of this whole journey has been the sense of community that has come into my life, which is kind of interestingly enough, before doing this work, most people would say that I've pretty much got the most amazing job in the world, that I get paid to just hang out, surf and go to the beach and have a great time, and that's all wonderful, but there was a really deep, I think, void in my life that I didn't have a really strong sense of community and purpose. And so I was thinking back then, before starting this sort of work, I was just thinking how interesting that is that, in the eyes of our modern society, I have all these physical things, all these ideas of success have been ticked, and I'm on a great path, but it still doesn't add up, and it still doesn't like complete this feeling inside me. And then we started moving with this work, and all these people here started coming into my life who were incredibly talented and passionate people, and then the circle got a bit bigger, and then it got a few thousand people bigger, and then it crossed countries, and now there's this immense feeling of community, which is so commonly lacking in every country in this modern era. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is that, you know, like Hannah was touching on how when you give to this kind of work, you get it back, you know, 10,000-fold. It's so true. You know, for me, the sense of belonging and community is so vast now, and that's amazing. I have people in my life here that I would do anything for, and it feels the same way from them to me, and that's amazing, and that's incredible, because life goes up and down, and you have this constant there, knowing that you have the love and connection with everybody. So that's something for me personally that I always try to communicate with people, because it is a really amazing thing to have received from this, which was not at all in my mind at the beginning. I wasn't thinking, oh, I want to do this work so I can belong to a family of people. It just naturally evolved that way. And then also just on a more tangible level, getting to look at where these issues are at now. You know, after we were there in Taiji a couple of years ago, and word really got out in a broad sense through a lot of mainstream media programs and news reports, BBC and various other programming around the world. Since then, there's been people via Sea Shepherd and just people on their own wicket going to Taiji and being kind of like watch guards, being there, watching the fishermen, monitoring what's going on, putting pressure on them, letting them know that what's happening there is not going unnoticed anymore. And that's something really tangible that's come out of all of this, and is really wonderful. And a lot of what was going on there isn't going on to that same degree now. Of course, the tsunami and the earthquake issues there have changed everything. So it's all up in the air right now as to coastal whaling in Japan, what's going to happen from here on out. But it is a great feeling to just feel as though, you know, an abstract bunch of people like us with kind of left field skills have managed to channel that into doing something that has created some progress on these issues. I don't know if there's any questions from anyone in the audience. Yep. Yeah, actually, Hayden's been back. She went back, I think it was last year, and participated in a very peaceful gathering in Taiji, and she wasn't arrested. She came with a lot of attention on the cove there, and it went very smoothly. As far as going back to Japan, I think I'd like to, but I still am not sure of how I'd be received. There was very interesting things occurred after we left. Every surf shop along the coastline was visited by very, very dark characters and threatening anybody who had any involvement with us. They would burn down their shops if they were working with us. Everything had to be pulled from all the shops, including just surfing posters and DVDs and whatnot. And so there's a lot of intimidation. So I've heard from friends who live there that that's not the case. The magazine just started running surfing images of me again, and it's relaxed a little. But I'd want to have some really strong reasons for going there, and I think one of those reasons would be that if this whaling, these whaling operations, which are subsidised by the government, if this is going to be continued to be subsidised by them, I think I would like to return, because that to me is a crime against humanity, to be spending people's money, taxpayers' money, on something like this instead of rebuilding their country after such devastation here this year. And that's insane. So that would definitely motivate me to go back. But as you saw with the project, it initially began focusing on the dolphin whale kills in Japan, because there's a really large surfing community there, and my power, I felt, was within that surfing community. They love the fashion of the cool hippie surfer or whatever, and I wanted to test that and see if that was actually true, if they were committed to the actual ideals of what it means to be someone who is in love with the ocean. You know, someone who is daily in the water and with reverence being amongst that environment. And when we got there, we found out that, yeah, people do really feel for their environment and care, but there's other threats and intimidations that have suppressed them from acting. So I would like to go back there and get involved with the people there, but these projects going from just that issue have spread out vastly, which leads me to, in a month's time, we're doing a transparency right here in California. And so we are spreading out our operations. Yeah, so what you saw in Australia is a formula that I'd like to duplicate around the world. And wherever there are surfing communities and migrations of great animals occurring, we want to go to these places and do these long journeys which see us daily actually shaking their hands and meeting the people who live in these areas and sharing how much fun this is to do this stuff, you know, that you can really have a ball when you do this work. And so October 1st, we're starting in Santa Barbara. There will be 5 of us going from Santa Barbara down to the border. We're going to skip that funky area of Mexico where all the bad stuff happens. I think it's about 600 miles or so. And we're going to go down and then continue the journey down to the Seven Sisters region where there's grey whale nursery zones. So come October 1st, if anybody is anywhere between Santa Barbara and San Diego, we're going to be going down in the same kayaks that you saw there. We're going to be coming down the coast. Every night we come in, there's a group of people who are in the film who are musicians who are coming, and every night we're going to play music, we're going to clean the beaches. We're going to clean beaches and work with local NGOs. So each section of this post, our intention is to spotlight a group that's working in your local area that might need a little attention, that might need some volunteers which we could help with. And we'll also need perhaps some funding, which we will have music nights where we will show this film, the Great Museum, and have art and surfboards for sale, which will generate funds for your local groups who are doing wonderful work. So anyone who wants to come along, please I guess know that it's inclusive. There's nothing exclusive about this. We want to interact with as many people as we can and have a good rocking time while we do so. There's one more question over here.
Where are you going to be stopping off at?
Okay, so we average about 10 miles to 20 miles a day. So we're starting at Santa Barbara and we're pretty much stopping everywhere as we go down the coast. If we get a particularly good windy day, we make the most of that and we might skip a couple spots. But in general, you could imagine that from Santa Barbara to the border, every 10 miles we'll be working with people. So transparencyvoyage.com is the site, and of course the s4cglobal.org site, you can check us out as well, but that's where you can monitor our journey.
For perhaps one more question, and then we're going to have to continue this wonderful Q&A possibly in the courtyard. I know the Humane Society of the United States. Thank you so much to each and every one of you for being here today, for being a part of tonight's opening night screening. Thank you so much, Johnny. It's always good to see you, and it's always great to see our collective community and HSUS who's here, and Sea Shepherds who is also here, and thank you everyone for coming, and I look forward to
One quick
continue.
announcement, guys. Well, I'm sorry to interrupt. One quick announcement. Anybody in Los Angeles on September 1st, it's Celebrate Dolphin Day. We're going to have a peaceful demonstration downtown at the Japanese Embassy, 350 South Grand, and if anybody is anywhere in the world, go to either seashepherd.org or Save Japan Dolphins, and there's a list of all the cities.
So seashepherd.org, and also if you have any materials, I mean that's what the Artivist Film Festival is about, is communities coming together. If you have materials for this upcoming event, please feel free to put it outside by the info booth so that everyone can grab a copy on their way out.
Great.
Thank you so much everyone, and have a good night.